Hey, what's up guys? This is Oakley and we're going to have a very cool battle. It's 3 Roman armies attacking a barbarian settlement here. It's going to be a port attack. Actually a port and land attack underway here. Like I said, 3 Roman armies against 2 armies from Iceni. The Romans have pretty big contingent of forces pushing along this front. If we pop on the heads up display, you'll see them moving along here with, what is that, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ships, assault biremes, fire pots, quadremes, so tons of forces moving forward. On the right flank we have a lot of legionary cohorts pushing up with some cav, and then more positions rolling up to assault our various areas. I'm going to go ahead and slow-mo this just to the very start. So on this flank where you can see the Romans starting to push up, they're going to try and force their way towards this gatehouse. However, it's going to be myself and Indy Pride defending, and so we are very good at defending. These shots here, raining in the Romans with the artillery, are all going to be manually fired, and in doing so, Indy Pride was manning the guns, so to speak. He's going to be getting a tremendous number of kills. This force already having lost 8 men, and now with the brutal focus firing against those troops, it's going to go very, very quickly. So for the defense, we have Bastion Ballistas just getting the early shots on. We have painted ones in the rear with Levy Freemen and Druidic Nobles. Fireballs, as always, in the rear. Over by this beach landing, we have more fireballs prepped and ready to go. We have a mass of infantry, Heroic Nobles, Freemen, and whatnot. We're going to yield the center just because the enemy has so many forces. We're going to have siege towers pushing forward. This is a good old traditional siege stuff that is desperately missing in Total War Warhammer, so I figured we'd get you your fix. So this is why we abandoned this position, because they can just obliterate anything that's holding out here. So tons of Roman legions on that front, more waiting firm on this front. These are Eagle cohorts, legionnaires, heavy troops on this front. But as we saw previously, this is not where the main engagement is taking place. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the main engagement. So ships heading towards the beach. They're almost there, not taking any suppressive fire. Could be a problem for us. Meanwhile, at the gates over here, as the Romans push up, like I said, taking just ridiculous casualties. We had 2 enemy forces, and one of them was AI controlled, just because we wanted, there to be sheer numbers, but not necessarily have it be overwhelming in our opponent's favor. And so this is what happens when you give the AI an attack order. It does everything it can to get at the gates with these old torch-throwing mechanics, and this makes for just a bloodbath, essentially. Yeah, look how much damage has been wrought upon the Romans. Ooh, beach landing is underway. I'm going to put this on pause so we can watch as we get this D-Day on the frozen waste. No one really here to contest this. We do have a couple Britain slingers hutting it up here. More of the enemy is going to be pushing up. Syrian archer is going to be firing away at our dudes. And the main wall over there has collapsed. So we're going to be getting assaulted on all sides. The next phase, as I said, is going to be this beachhead here. So let's go ahead and make sure we get all the best cinematics. Because what would Total War be if not a simulation of ancient battles purely for the cinematics, at least mostly for it. So luckily for us, this is going to be Hastati troops, the meat fodder, cannon fodder, excuse me, of the ancient world, at least for the Romans. Still, good troops, but when you're going up against towers, yeah, they're going to be crumbling under the pressure. But I do love these beach assaults. It's something that I really hope we get to see in future Total War titles. Especially Warhammer, once they introduce ships. Can you imagine what a beach landing would look like from orcs? Or let alone, dwarf juggernauts, ironclads pulling up and shelling the fortified beach locations. I really hope that's something they do develop in the future, and that they don't, skimp out on the port settlements by simply removing them and making them a land battle, which they've been doing with unfortified settlements. They really need to change the battlefield variety. There are levies pushing forward on this front, or essentially the equivalent of levies. So they're going to try and exchange with our slingers, which is going to be good for pretty much keeping us at bay. is doing a good job of absorbing a fair amount of damage. The levies are going to be breaking rather almost instantly, but it has bought the enemy enough time to siege the towers. The rest of the flotilla is going to be coming in for a landing. More troops pushing here. They're going to be forcing our Briton slingers back. That's why we're pulling in some heroic nobles. We are redeploying on this front to hold the choke point. On this side, the enemy has been absolutely routed. Just a couple units, legatus and legionary cav waiting. The gates are going to slowly burn down, but really not much damage done. On this front, Romans are pouring forward, so let's go ahead and watch as they do so. We could have deployed some Briton slingers to contest this side of the battlefield, but we decided not to, seeing as how much overwhelming fire there was. A couple slingers in here could have done a lot of damage, especially. I mean, keep them at a safe distance and just let them fire away. Could have been good for us. But strategically, we decided not to deploy at the front, which is, again, something that's missing from Total War Warhammer. You don't have the choice to defend, pull back to the innards of your city, which is really, really poor gameplay. And we've seen that borne out. Like, I really do not playing Warhammer Sieges. Do not like playing Warhammer Sieges. What I think they could do is, this is your typical Empire stronghold, and yeah, maybe you can give it just a couple gates, make it all linear, but at least make, an outer village or something we have to fight over. So, anyways, while we may not have defenders in these forefront positions, what we do have is a bunch of traps. So, waiting for the Romans to walk headlong into those. And then we're going to start to deploy kind of in the center, chosen sword band. Other units, the archers here have been pulled up. And what they're going to be doing is using fire arrows to actually burn down the gates. Seems to be working pretty well. Our tower is going to be doing pretty good damage against the Syrian archers, but en masse, as they are here, they're going to be able to soon target our tower once the gates are burned down. Oh my god, and a couple of the Syrians there. I'm not sure if you saw them. And with arrows sticking out of their heads. This guy is he's out for the count. He's basically a dead man walking at that point. Jeez, I feel really bad for him. So we can go back to the beachfront. Put this on slow motion. So they have cleared away our defenses. Mostly we pulled back. I have Briton slingers in a nice flanking position. This is always what you want to do in sieges, and what you'll see me and Indy Pride doing a lot in sieges. Pull your skirmishers off to the side, hold the enemy from the front, and just fire into the undefended flanks. That is how you get a bang, the bang for your buck in terms of these skirmishers. So anyways, we're going to wrap around here. Charge into these Romans. Get as much fire from the rear as we can. Let's get a shot of those troops in the distance. Firing wing, and man, I really needed to scratch this siege itch. It is so cool, so good to be back. Love the depth of these sieges. They last forever. Not as long as the old medieval 2 ones, but still. So we're going to start to get under pressure from the Hastati. So this is going to force us back, which is why we're pulling in some more heroic nobles. Other units, my Briton slingers, once again firing at the flank. Hastati down to 56 men and dropping. Oh my god, look how much damage that did. That one volley into the flank of those Hastati, that's what I'm talking about. Suppressive power on the flank there. Meanwhile, the enemy is going to start to form up. We are waiting for them to push up against these balls. Get a perfect roll, roll a strike essentially through those units. Looks like it's not going to happen. Once again, reforming. This chokehold is in our favor. I mean, these heroic nobles going up against Principes who are already depleted. Yeah, this is not going to go in their favor. They're throwing in more Hastati, but that is just, that's throwing little puppies over at a big Rottweiler. They're going to tear them apart, getting lots of kills on these forces. In the back, we're going to be reshuffling. Towers giving supporting fire. We're going to wait for this Hastati to pull up. They are capturing towers in the distance, so that could start to force us back. If I do recall correctly, in Rome 2, the towers don't actually take any damage when they get captured. They actually swap sides, so this could actually be, the towers more so than the infantry could be the thing forcing us back. In the meantime, the enemy is not deciding to push forward here. They're going to be kind of camping out by the village huts, and you can see what this might look like if you're a little Iceni boy looking out of your window and seeing Romans and Testudo right outside. That is a scary, scary sight. Perhaps you might take a little a sling of your own or a javelin, and seeing your men coming in from the flank, your dad in that war band, maybe you'll throw some or jeer something, throw some cheers and jeer at the Romans. We're going to bring the fight to them. If they want to form up in testudo, that is, they're more than welcome to. Full strength heroic nobles getting in the fight. Tower, however, has been lost, so it's going to start doing pretty damaging, amounts of damage to us. Heroic nobles, 146 kills, only having lost 50 men, so they're going to be probably winning out that fight. The enemy's still unwilling to push up to the top, which is pretty smart considering what we have in weight. And now here comes the main charge on this side. Over on the left, we'll cover this first. What I did do is pull up some chosen swordband. I just wanted to contest this portion of the battlefield. The enemy was just going to go ahead and pour, flaming arrows on us and torches. I didn't want them to hold out and be able to do so uncontested. So I pulled up with my guys. Not necessarily javelin troops, but the few javelins that they do have is going to be enough to start doing damage. Pretty significant damage against these early hastati lines. So overall, we're making these Romans pay. Yeah, several chosen warband forces all arrayed here. Aha! And this is the real damage dealer. I forgot to show you this. The slingers always position your skirmishers around the flank. Look at what they're targeting and look at what's melting away. Who are we targeting? Aha, okay, the flank of the armored legionnaires decided to go for the armored troops, knowing that they're going to be most important. Hastati are easy to kill with our infantry. Armored units, not so much. Let's go ahead and watch from their position as this line slowly gets carved away. Those huge scutums not doing much in the face of the flanking fire, which is once again not something you can get in Total War Warhammer. I don't know why there's not enfilading walls or the opportunity to fire from the flank. What terrible city design. So here they go, charging forward. We're going to be able to meet them in the courtyard here pretty soon. Speaking of courtyard, in the center we've been absolutely kind of thrashed, just collapsed due to the sheer weight of the Romans. I mean, we only have a couple honorary war bands here, sacrificed to hold the Romans back. Only a couple men, blue in a tide of red, still standing strong, somehow not breaking, and now they finally do, as I say that, with 87 kills, and then they go down in a blaze of glory. We have another force here that was trying to hold them back. It also gets taken out. We were trying to hold at the base of the tower to get more kills, but now that that's lost, we're going to be forced to pull back. We had a lot of units here. They did take some losses, but not very much in holding the Romans back, so we're going to be able to pull them back and hit these Romans from the flank. Back at the, I guess you could say the courtyard or the entry here. Sword bands are going to be pulled away from the walls. They've essentially expended all of their javelin ammunition, so now they're going to be up close and personal with the Romans. Principes against our guys are a pretty even match, especially with the weight being poured in here. Towers are neutralized, so it's really up to our guys, and actually looks like, oh, the enemy has captured. No, is that ours? Okay, good. That's still ours, so it's going to be lending some supporting fire. Our archers still firing right. Ooh, looks like we're going to kill an eagle cohort. That is perfect. Yeah, so we've been doing good work with those guys, but more troops just pouring on through. They're going to try and get some legionary cav up through the center, actually, trying to snipe our scorpion, which is a pretty bold move. It's gonna, oh my god, look how much, oh my god, look how much javelin fire that cav is taking. It's not necessarily the best of engagements, but all things considered, nowhere else they really could have used that cav, and what they did do is took out our scorpion unit. I don't think there's any crew left, and they caused disruption, allowed these Romans to get in, and just then we're trying to pop the flaming balls, and it didn't work out. So that disruption actually, wasted a lot of javelins, took out our scorpions, caused disruption, and allowed the Romans to approach without us popping the fireballs. So while it may have seemed suicidal, it did actually work out pretty well in the opponent's favor. So here comes the great battle of our time here. And that scorpion unit was a devastating loss. Would have loved to keep that alive. I mean, it was just waiting to fire into the Roman blobs here. That is not going to be the case. We're getting outnumbered and outclassed here. Chosen Swordman with 49 kills and 20 losses. We're doing well otherwise. This force here doing pretty well as well. 114 kills, but here comes Legionary cohorts in the back. This is going to spell doom to the resistance. In the distance, you can see the Romans also pillaging as they go, pushing through the town. We are still having, you know, the strength of all our forces concentrated in the stronghold in the back. Romans are going to be pulling back from that engagement, kind of trying to do mop-up operations around the flanks. We have Britain Slingers. Holy crap, how many kills do these guys have? 205 kills on Britain Slingers. Killing off auxiliary Syrian archers, yeah, very cost effective. The holding force on this side has, yeah, well, it's held. Still did what it needed to do. Legata's going to be punching through, going after our slingers. Looks like they're finally going to go down. I do have one more Britain Slinger force taking out Eagle cohorts, ranking up again there with 91 kills. Doing okay. In the back here, looks like we're going to try and pull forward with some of our Levy Freemen. Seeing as the enemy's kind of tucked away there, we have orders to go and re-seize this air tower, perhaps catching them unsurprised, reclaim that, and then perhaps retake the beaches. And if there are any Iceni warriors without honor, well, then they have a bunch of boats here that they can use to escape the siege if they feel that they're doomed. So we're going to have to take care of the Roman guardsmen holding back, trying to hold the ships and defend those for the Romans. This preliminary force still being engaged, auxiliary infantry against Levy Freemen, but we reinforced with heroic nobles, so yeah, this is now in our favor. The tower is somehow being capped, so it's going to be silenced pretty soon. Levy Freemen on both flanks had wasted a lot of their shots, so in the future we're going to put them up against the walls, but yeah, this is not looking good. The Romans just having so many numbers. They're also going to be pulling up their artillery, which still has some ammo left. This is not going to be good for us. We are desperately holding on to the last little choke point, you know, with only 1 or 2 entrances into it. So if this rolls up there, it can blast open a new entrance and even start taking out the Blauser infantry holding the choke point. So Roman ingenuity here is gonna prove our undoing, it seems. Min on the Legatus, resting on his laurels. The victory here under the great tree here, cheering his men, and more legionaries just deploying throughout the city, probably looting and ransacking the lower levels. The men going to be starting to settle in for the second stage of the siege, and it would be really cool if at some point Total War formalized this type of siege, where you could have a siege battle where, you know, maybe the only objective is seize the lower levels. You do that, the battle ends, and then on the campaign, you know, you have to siege again. You can build more siege works, and you can then, you know, stage your next phase of the assault from this position onto the last remaining bit. Something that would be cool is if they had something like escalation, which would give you, you know, some defenses as the attacker. Like if you could have a wall of circumvallation, kind of hemming in the inside stuff. Really hope they get that in the next historical game. It would be so cool. So let's take count of what we have left. That is it. The last of our troops here have been pretty much exterminated. We do have Britain Slingers with 126 kills going down fighting. So what do we have left? Well, fair amount of troops. Heroic nobles, chosen Zorbrid, and heroic nobles. So a lot of heroic nobles still left. Our artillery crew actually coming back from the fight, going to be retaking their siege equipment, some Levy Freemen. So we're doing pretty good, and we still have this flanking force. You'll notice that they are hidden, so we're making sure that they stay hidden, waiting for the enemy Romans to commit to this action. Meanwhile, in the distance here, I seize this tower. It is ours. We're going to get some supporting fire, and then the Levy Freemen are going to fight against Principes. We should probably lose this fight. Not quite sure why I decided to commit so early. I guess my Levy Freemen were eager to kill these Principes, kill the boat guards, and make off with some of these ships. Levy's definitely not helping, throwing some javelins into the rear of the Principes. But I think every little bit is going to count. Our Levy Freemen already losing, 40 men. Principes holding strong, taking more damage from our towers than the levies. So we'll see how that goes. And if they do win, then they can perhaps push to assault the back. But yeah, we got heroic nobles guarding that. Let's take account of what's happened. So yeah, the Romans are now pushing up completely. More Roman ballistas rolling up. The other one is over in this position. Oh god, it is almost in place here. Just gonna put this on fast forward as it rolls up into place. Put this on play. And there you go. So now I think it's gonna start to unload on us. And yeah, oh, we don't have much left. The center point is going to start to be captured as well. That means that we're going to suffer. I believe this gives you some morale debuffs once the enemy takes it. So yeah, the Scorpion actually going to be withdrawing a little bit. I think what we anticipate happening is that the enemy is going to come right up this embankment. So we're trying to pull it out to get better shots and even a chance to fire up and over the walls into the enemy blob. We'll see how that goes. And as the enemy starts to creep up, yeah, take a look at this. We pulled the rest of our troops into the woods here. So this is going to be potentially big flanking force, painted ones here, all with the woad. And I just want to admire, we're not going to admire the hairy chests of the men. I kind of just wanted to admire the woad painted on them. Pretty cool stuff. And the torque around the necks. Pretty cool. So anyway, this is our flanking force. Not much to it. I mean, it's got painted ones, druidic nobles, and levy freemen. So it doesn't necessarily pack a punch, but we're hoping just the sheer surprise of it may do the Romans in. They're doing a smart move, and that is going to be pulling the legionary cohorts right up under the walls. That means that none of our towers are going to be able to shoot them. Painted ones could pull up here. I don't believe they have javelins, so really not much we can do as the Romans start to move up. And the Syrian archers are going to start to fire, as well as the ballista. I don't know if it has any ammo left. Looks like they have been told to hold fire at this point. Just waiting to pick their targets. And here comes the full encirclement getting underway. In the back, the levy freemen did end up going down. Looks like they did not get their escape. Although a couple of the troops still now going to be taking their chance to break and run. Maybe going after some of those boats. So yeah, the Romans are going to reclaim this and perhaps think that they have the initiative to push up this rear, seemingly unguarded path into the city. So this seems like an enticing way to go. If you're a Roman force, you're like, oh, we found the sneaky way through the back. So we'll see. We'll see if they decide to bite. Back up through the front, we're shuffling more men, tons of Romans moving up legionary cohorts. The problem for them is the more they delay, the more of a chance we have to fire away with some of the remaining towers that we do have. So it is going to be going against them. Ooh, looks like this Briton Scorpion was told to target the enemy. He's going to actually get pulled out of position. We may have enemy Roman ballista fighting our own Scorpion force. It's not going to be good for us. Roman infantry thinking, what the hell are they doing? Do they not even see us? So we're going to get a battle of the crews here. And oh, I think he told his units to try and set off the fireballs. That's a good sacrifice. Yep. So that artillery crew actually coming in here and completely sabotaging our plans to use these fireballs. Now they do burn themselves alive in the process, but worthy sacrifice. The Roman legionaries taking that as an opportunity to charge at. So that was a pretty good sacrifice on our opponent's part. The fireballs are always a kind of a literally a wild card that we like to pull here for Indy Pride, and usually gets a lot of kills for us. And in this case, the enemy is being very smart in its in the way they deal with us. So that's that front. More legionnaires going to be creeping around along the wall. I don't know where this artillery is firing. Okay, so we have our own kind of Scorpions trying to counter volley against them. 86 kill on these, so I've been missing out on most of the shots, most of the damage they've been doing. I think they were targeting some of the infantry blobs as they're holding firm here. Yeah, look at this. This is mostly kills from a Scorpion force, so doing a lot of damage. As we take out these forces, I do think you can do pretty significant damage to the ballistas. But so far, I haven't seen a single one of these ballistas go down just yet. Give it time, though. Oh, okay, who are we targeting? Okay, never mind. We're targeting a infantry blob, so that is probably way smarter. I'm surprised we can get the Arc of Fire to target this force. Oh, I did just hear a couple of the darts hitting something, so it may actually be getting embedded in the top of the building. Really hard to tell. But man, that is whoever is manning that artillery crew, that is some serious aim. Yeah, the rest of the legatas, they know what's up. They're hiding from artillery. So over here, Roman waves are being beaten back. On this front as well, we've been fighting against them. Heroic nobles against legionary cohort. It looks like the advantage is actually going to be going to the legionary cohort here, but we have popped headhunt. We have our druidic nobles, I believe, nearby, who should be able to rally these men. But the enemy just have, pound for pound, we may be even or even superior, but the enemy just has so many remaining legionnaires that we need something. We need towers, we need artillery, we need the flaming balls, something to do the damage, that wildcard damage. Doesn't look like it's going to be forthcoming. I'm trying to get that advantage by placing sword band here to try and get some flank shots on the enemy. It did somewhat work. First Legionary cohort is going to be breaking soon. Looks like the enemy is... Oh, shoot, we missed it. So there was a charge of the enemy up the hill, and looks like we were able to get a huge flaming ball hit on them. Our units here pulling back, the painted ones with full strength, pulling back, waiting for the next group of Romans to try their luck. Looks like most of them are going to stick to the high ground. That's a good idea when these balls are going to come down. You definitely want to avoid them. And this is going to be the third level that we can possibly defend. So again, love, love, love these sieges. Oh, and here comes the ambush being popped. Let's watch the horde as it pushes forward. You'll recall not too long ago there were a ton of Romans kind of hugging the wall, inching their way. Now they've pretty much all been committed. Even the legatus there in the distance kind of running away. I don't think they've seen us just yet, so we're going to be issuing forth. Going to be coming out right on the flank of the Romans. So this is a perfect counter assault. So here comes the charge. We're still holding strong in the center. The legatus now going to be kind of swept out of position as we pull forward with the Levy Freeman. There is a Roman ballista force here that we're going to charge with the painted ones. This should be a pretty easy fight. Yeah, no contest here. But the legionnaires are going to form up to rebuff our assault. They're going to pull away from the main fight. So not quite the flank that we would have liked. Although we do have forces now here going to start positioning themselves up on the wall. I don't believe we have any javelins left. So we may be trying to shuffle some troops up. I think that's what we're doing with those nobles. But man, oh man, if we had any javelins left, this would be the time to use it. Really a cool situation to see. Troops on the high ground cheering their men on, and they can kind of watch this duel from down below. Gonna charge in with the painted ones first, just to tie down the enemy, force them to turn their flank, and then we're gonna try and get more guys into this engagement. We're going to be pulling in with some heroic nobles, and these guys looks like they do have javelins left, so that's exactly why I committed one force to force this legionary cohort to turn its flank. Meanwhile, in the distance here, we are still holding, pouring more men into the fight. In this position, the legatus charge in against us. We're beating them back with painted ones and other forces. But let's go ahead and watch this unit. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Perfect. This is exactly the type of engagement we wanted to get. Romans turn to the side, and now, boom, we unleash on them. So we're being as cost effective as possible. 2 Roman units being tied down by 1 painted one, while the rear Roman force gets absolutely bushwhacked. Levy Freeman going to be staging themselves, cheering on from nearby. Getting in. I'm not sure why. Oh, there we go. The jabs do get off. So this Principe force that was otherwise... Oh, Legionary force, already down to half strength. We may be able to beat it with just a simple Levy Freeman force. Druidic nobles in the back, staying uncommitted, tossing the javelins. So we're doing a good job. Although the legatus may be trying to sneak through. Ooh, the enemy having similar tactics. Maybe trying to sneak through and get javelins off against us. This could prove deadly. We have nothing in the rear of the force. In the back, painted ones were beaten by the veteran legionaries. So this could prove... Oh, God, here it comes. the drill and discipline of the Romans, allowing them to just walk right past the painted ones. Looks like they're going to be going for a double envelopment. So what used to be a big threat to the flank that we pose as an ambush is now going to be completely sandwiched, turning completely on its side. A total reversal here. Not good for us. The support on the top is now no longer forthcoming. We've run out of ammo, and so this is the face you get. Yeah, they turn around. They don't want to see the bloodshed below, and that is the last thing you want to see. Previously, these men here were being cheered on by the top, but now if they were to look back up at the top, no one is left cheering at them. They've been left essentially to die. These nobles look really cool. I mean, sorry, the druids looking really sweet. But yeah, we are quickly going to get dispatched by these Romans. That is why we retreated, for the most part, back to this choke point, where we're still continuing to toss men in. This tower being very, very important to keep alive. Heroic Noble is going to be taking out the legionary cohort and breaking it. On this front, the enemy has also been routed. The enemy knows that we are too strong where we hold up by the arrow tower, so they've decided to pull the majority of their forces. Look at this huge column of Romans pushing over here. That's why it was a good move for us to keep these fireballs alive. Legatus being sacrificed into this location. Painted ones being here. Looks like we're considering the flaming balls at this point, as the critical mass of Romans keeps going. We have basically our finger on the trigger here. Not quite sure when to pull the doomsday device. The enemy did break through, so I think this is going to be the time, if there's any, to start to launch these fireballs. Our javelins actually being blocked, unfortunately, by the fireballs itself. That's not good. Let's go, come on. Oh. Go, 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 go. There we go. Finally, some of them activate, so it did do a fair amount of damage. The rest of them kind of whiffing and rolling down, but we did kill. Look at this. Tons of Romans. It could have definitely been better, but you saw, had we waited a couple more seconds, the Romans would have been upon us. So now, this is where we hold them. This is where we have to hold. And the enemy made a good choice of pushing here. It's against the heroic noble general, with lots of full-strength legionaries and eagle cohorts with no tower support on our side. Definitely a good place to invade. We're going to be pulling back some of our own heroic nobles. More troops being poured into the center. It looks like we did a big countercharge. Sorry we didn't watch this as it happened. We're trying to meet the enemy out in the field, keep them off the towers. So yeah, really epic stuff here as we fight on all levels. And you'll notice just how dynamic this fight has been. First, contesting the enemy outside the walls, setting traps, then fighting a calculated defense of the gates, fighting staggered defense of the courtyards, holding the choke points, ambush on the lower levels, issuing force from the upper levels, strategic retreats to the higher levels. None of this is in Total War Warhammer, and yeah, this is why I really miss this type of siege. Balance bar is looking like it's back in our favor. However, we do have a heroic noble here. Yes, they do have a backup from another heroic noble, but these are two generals' forces holding up against a ton of Roman infantry, which will probably end up overpowering us with no support. So, you know, if our generals are going to be here in the grind, and if they do go down, that could be a big morale blow for the rest of our forces. God, this is a lot of troops. Oh, it actually looks like we do have a tower that's somehow able to get a couple shots into the mix here. Not quite sure how that's possible. Whew. Heroic nobles doing work. Triple veteran or double veterancy on them at this point. 243 kills. That is absurd, obscene, and disgusting. Over by the front, looks like our assault is going pretty well. Indy Pride committing heroic nobles, and heroic nobles. That is a good matchup against tired legionnaires. They're going to be starting to crumble. We do have a spare heroic noble force that's going to be pulling to recap this city plaza. Once it does so, it can also move to get a flank on this force. So overall, looks like things have turned back in our favor. We are going to be going on hunting missions. Levy Freeman dispatched to take out, well, they're dispatched to dispatch the enemy cavalry and retake these towers. And with the bonus versus large, we should be taking out the cav pretty handedly here. Legatus down to 33 men. Levy Freeman, however, that charge did take us down a notch. And with this tower continuing to do fire on us, we may end up losing. But the support of the towers here is going to be crucial. Sniping the general's units. Levy Freeman going to catch up. And, yep, that's going to go in our favor. Down here we have one. Took out the enemy force. Not quite sure what ended up happening with this ballista. We did see the crew charge forward. I think it may have actually ran out of ammo as it was firing away at our towers. Yeah, it was shooting away at the walls. Only got to 28 damage. That was lucky for us. Had the Romans open up a second front, I think they could have overwhelmed us, but luckily they ran out of ammo before they could crumble this wall. That was to their detriment. And again, a contrast with Total War Warhammer. In Warhammer, the walls don't even matter. You can climb over all the walls. You can blow them up instantly. There's only one ring. In this case, the Romans got over the one wall, but they couldn't get past the second one. And even if they got past the second one, who knows if they got past the third. And so it's sad to think that a barbarian village in a historical setting has better defenses than a high fantasy Renaissance, city from the Empire. Ragging a lot lately on these Total War Warhammer sieges because they just don't stand up to the epicness, the scale, the diversity of the Rome 2 sieges, and even Attila. Ooh, looks like we're going to actually get the critical crumbling against the Legionnaires in this case. I think we were able to snipe the Legatus on that front, so we're going to be chasing him away from the city. There he goes. His troops have broken. Just one remaining force here. Both of our warlords from the heroic nobles here. 155 kills, 330 kills. My God. Holding back the Romans on this front. The warlords fighting side by side with their clansmen. So this has been an epic defense of this settlement from these forces here. Cleaning up the Romans. There are going to be spoils for days, and included in these spoils are going to be a whole set of Roman quadremes, triremes, and all that. So it looks like once we clean up after this fight, we're going to be taking those ships and we're going to go raiding. And you know what the Romans actually did? Swapping sides real quickly, is the Romans in the Punic Wars, when they actually defeated the Carthaginians at sea, what they did is they took off the front part of the ship, known as the rostra, and took them to the speaker's platform, which is why it's called the rostratum. So they took off the I believe it was the prows of the Carthaginian vessels they defeated and proudly displayed them in Rome. So that is what we're going to be doing here in this barbarian village, lopping off the front part of these ships, piling up the Roman arms and armor, putting the skeletons up for display. Yeah, this is going to be basically shots on me is what our warlord is saying for this glorious victory against 3 Roman armies. Super epic stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I very much did. Whew. This is the type of Total War battle that I desperately had been missing out on. Let's end the replay and take a look at some of the final stats here. So Indy Pride not getting as many kills as me, although he did have fewer troops at his disposal. 2 of them were Scorpion, getting a fair amount of kills. These heroic nobles, just absurd kills. 338, 158. Levy Freeman doing pretty well themselves. Myself, lots of kills on these Britain Slingers, having them up on the walls, on the flanks, just reaping dividends. 498, 401 on heroic nobles, and Chosen Swordband did pretty well. Painted ones and Levy Freeman on that ambush, not doing super well. On the enemy side, Ballista didn't do too well. Veteran Legionnaires and the high-tier Romans did do well once they got in close-quarter combat. I mean, by RTF got most of the kills. Vancer here just didn't do very well. I think the Hastati were a waste. And, well, some of these Hastati forces were actually units that were landed on the beach. So can't really hold that against him. It was cool that he did that assault, but when you do land these Hastati on the beach and the Principes, they are lower in numbers. So that's why they probably underperformed. And the computer here was just a little attacking force that went on the flank. This is the one that got destroyed early on. Not much to speak of that one. I mean, it deployed 1,000 men and actually got 250 kills, so that helped a little bit balance things out. In the end, I think the loss was probably due to the Romans not being able to punch through an additional part of that final ring of walls. And not quite sure what else. Maybe just a couple of the early losses they took unnecessarily when they were taking the gates. They probably should have funneled through the lower gates all of their men and just swarmed through there. by having troops trying to torch multiple gates, I was able to have slingers deployed on the side, and we saw just how many kills they racked up, especially against elite troops. You know, if they wanted to do that approach, they should have definitely used siege towers. They should have definitely used cheaper units and kept some of the elite, Eagle cohorts and veteran legionnaires out of that fight. They took way too much damage in the position they were in. That's my feedback. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. See you in the next one. Peace out.